Hey everyone, I'm Joe and today it's time for me to do my reading wrap up for April 2018. I really can't believe it's already May now because we're now a third of the way into the year. It doesn't seem 5 minutes since the year started, but oh well. Now, this month I read a good amount of quality books. I just didn't read very many of them. I only read 6 books in total, which is less than I normally read, but of course I always prefer quality over quantity. If I can get both a larger amount in terms of quantity and quality, so much the better. I didn't manage this month. Frankly, I don't really care because I read good books ultimately at the end of the day. And the first of those books I'm not going to be saying too much about because I am going to be doing a review of this trilogy in the upcoming few weeks, and that is the third book in the Night's Dawn trilogy by Peter F. Hamilton, and this is The Naked God. Now, this first of all should be noted that this is a mass market format. This is a very wide edition of it. It's shorter paperback format. It's very wide, and frankly, because it's how wide it is, it was really awkward and kind of painful to actually read because you have to hold it open at a really awkward angle because you can't hold it like a normal book because it's so wide. And I think this did affect my start of April as far as reading concerned, because I needed quite a few days to recover from reading this book, and my hand and my elbow was actually hurting quite a bit from the sheer weight of it and the sheer thickness of it. As far as the actual book goes, however, as I said, I'm going to be doing a review, so I'm not going to say too much, but it is indeed a science fiction space opera. Peter Hamilton is known for space operas, and indeed he's very good at them. This has a large amount of locations, an epic plot, large amounts of characters, and they all interact and work in a really interesting and fun way. And this is just epic in scale and scope and overall idea. And frankly, this is good Hamilton, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. The second book that I read, I'm also not going to say too much about because I've already done a review of this earlier in April, and that is One Way by S.J. Morden. This is an advanced reading copy. I did a review of this in the first week of April, I believe it was, because that was when it was released. It's a brand new release. And I'm very happy that I've read this. This is a science fiction thriller. It's set on Mars. It's basically they're trying to make a Mars base rather than using terraforming technology and such, which they haven't really got hold of yet, despite claiming they have. Instead, the company involved sends up a group of 8 convicted murderers because they're expendable, and they start dying, and nobody knows is one of the 8 killing off the others, or is it the company? Is it something else? Is it just accidental? Nobody knows, and it's quite mysterious, and the pacing and plot goes along very nicely, and I was impressed by this overall. Anyway, I'll link my review in the description box below. The third book I'm also not going to say too much about because I did a review of this the week after that one, and that is Before Mars by Emma Newman. This is the third book in the Planetfall universe. It starts with, surprisingly, Planetfall, which I have behind me somewhere, and I really enjoyed. The second book, After Atlas, I have not read yet, although I've now read this third book. I really want to. I've done a separate review, so I'm not going to say too much now. Suffice to say, you do not, strictly speaking, need to have read both the first and second books. I've read the first, but not the second. And this is not going to spoil anything for the second very much, apart from knowing a vague outline of it, which frankly you'll know from reading the synopsis on the back of the second book, After Atlas. This is a very psychological science fiction book set on Mars. A woman goes to Mars to be an artist and a geologist, and things are not exactly as they seem. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say too much because I've already done a review, but I really enjoyed this book, and Emma Newman is becoming an author. I mean, this is only the second book by her that I've read that I really like, and I'm starting to hold her as an author in really rather high regard at this point because she hasn't really, frankly, put up foot wrong as far as I'm concerned yet. We'll see in time though. The next book that I read was a science fiction masterwork, one of the Yellow Spines, and that is Time Out of Joint by Philip K. Dick. Now, Philip K. Dick is known for writing science fiction, and he's known for writing very strange books with really strange ideas. Often drugs are involved in his books, as in his characters are drug taking, because, as is well known about Philip K. Dick, he was often on drugs throughout the course of his life, and some of the books he actually wrote whilst under the influence of various heavy and pretty serious drugs. Frankly, this could well be one of them because this was frankly kind of strange, as is often the case with him. This is one where the main character, who is called Regal Gum, usual name, every day he makes his living by winning a competition in the newspaper, and he always wins it every single day. But it's not exactly what it seems, because it's like you don't naturally win a competition every day unless it's fixed, surely. So what is going on, and why is the newspaper happy for him to win all the time? Because even if it wasn't rigged, nobody could actually consider this to be a coincidence. It can't be. The law, mathematically, there's no way you can win a competition every day for years on end, same competition. So something's going on. He wants to know what it is, and it turns out slightly different from what you think it is as well. I liked it in the end. It is very strange though, and very surreal, although that is perfectly normal for Philip K. Dick. This is not one of his best books, although it's better than some, because this is actually one of his earlier novels, relatively speaking, and I did prefer it over some of the more recent ones. That's 2 or 3 Philip K. Dick books I read. I wasn't impressed by this. I thought it was pretty decent actually. The next book is also a Peter F. Hamilton, and that is A Second Chance at Eden. I decided I had to read this because this is a short story collection with 6 or 7 stories in it, and this is set, well, most of the stories are set within the Confederation universe, which is the same as that Night's Dawn trilogy, which I'll be doing a review of in the upcoming few weeks. Overall, I liked this short story collection. I didn't love it though, because a couple of the short stories in it were good. A couple of them were frankly sort of irrelevant, and I didn't really enjoy them very much. Obviously, that is normally the case with short story collections, I find, especially when it's by one author. Multi-author collections, when they're mixed, you get more variety, and it can work out as either brilliant or great or something in between. Author collections, though, I tend to find that you have a good couple of brilliant stories, and then you normally have a few stories that are fairly irrelevant and don't matter too much for what you personally are looking for in the author, and that is the case with this. It had a good couple that do indeed link to the Night's Dawn in a rather interesting way and build up on things that you would like to see, and a few of them were about things in the world that I weren't really that interested in, and frankly were a bit boring, I found. But if you like Peter Hamilton, which I obviously do, and you like the Night's Dawn trilogy, which I also happen to like as well, then you'll want to read this anyway, which I've now done, and I'm happy to have read. The 6th book that I read in April, I read it on my Kindle, so there's no physical format, so there's a picture up on the screen now, and that is A Wizard Abroad by Diane. Now this is the 4th book in the Do You Want to Be a Wizard series, otherwise known as the Young Wizard series. This is a fantasy series. It is a young fantasy series, I believe, and it is one that I've only recently started to read a few months ago, and I'm already loving, because this, to me, is much better than Harry Potter, because Harry Potter I found to be cliched. I can't help referencing Harry Potter when I'm reading this, because it's not the same in any way, really, other than the fact it's young characters learning wizardry. This, I find, is more interesting. It's set in the real world more. Harry Potter's in this weird sort of world, which I don't personally appreciate that much. This is the sort of magical world that I actually like, and I find it quite an interesting one. In this, the main character's parents send her off to Ireland because they're hoping that we're sending her off to Ireland from America. She can sort of stay away from magic for a bit and sort of become a normal girl, because they don't like the fact that she's hanging around with another boy, her partner Kit, who together they perform spells stronger than either of them can individually. They think that by going to Ireland, she'll be normal, she's away from Kit, and things will calm down and be simple. That doesn't work though, because this is Ireland. Ireland is actually more magical than virtually anywhere else on Earth. So actually she gets into more adventure there than anywhere else. So it's fun. I like the fact it's in Ireland, which I do know a little bit about, because of course I have relatives that live in Ireland. So it was interesting, fun, and well written, and I'm just loving this series. I really am. I just love everything about Duane's writing so far. So I would highly recommend this series overall. The 7th and final book that I read in April was All Clear by Connie Willis. This is the 4th book in the Oxford Time Traveller series. This is science fiction with obviously elements of time travel, well, very strong themes of time travel in fact. And this is part 2 of the same big story that was started in the first book, Blackout. Both this and Blackout jointly won the Hugo and Nebula Award about 5 years ago now. I think it was 2011 if I'm remembering correctly. I could be mistaken about that. And this overall, I liked the overall story, but I felt it wandered a bit too much, frankly, more than I'd like it to, because this could have been edited down greatly and sections could have been removed, because I felt as though the characters were at points were just wandering around like headless chickens. I have heard mentioned, and indeed there's a good description of the characters, because they're just desperately they've gone back in time to view elements of World War II because they are historians and time travel is an option, but they can't affect anything from the past, or so they believe. To go back to World War II to view certain events, and they get stuck there, and then they start worrying that they are actually changing the future. So it's like, are they changing the future? Are they not? Nobody's quite sure. The characters wander around a lot. I don't mind the fact that they get lost in the past, so to speak, but they wander around a bit too much for my liking, and they keep asking the same questions over and over. Surely if you was lost in the past, you would sort of be a bit more focused and try to organise yourselves a bit more. They don't really seem to. And there's a few other little things, but I mean, I did enjoy the overall story. I just wish it was sort of tighter written, and sort of, the plot was a bit tighter and a bit more carefully thought out. Because whilst it didn't involve lots of detail, it just meandered, as I said, a lot. That really is a significant feature of this book. It's about it wanders around the place to get to where it's going, which you can sort of forgive in certain ways, but it does get a bit trying after you're reading 2 books that are well over, even on the shorter editions, over 500 pages. My editions are close to 800 pages each, so that's like 1,500 pages of a fairly meandering story that could be chopped down by a good third at least. But overall, I did actually enjoy this, and I would recommend it if you wanted to give it a little bit different with elements of time travel. And it's hard to recommend, but I would recommend it. Just know what you're getting into, basically, with this. Overall, I had a really good reading month. I read a good selection of interesting books. If you read any of these, then please leave a comment, or you would like to, then also leave a comment. I will leave links to my reviews of the books I mentioned in the description box below. All my social media links can be found in the description box below as well. And with that said, that is it for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you another time. Bye for now.